good.
Want to introduce yourselves? What you do in the band?
Chris Henderson, I play guitar.
So how are you enjoying the cold weather up here?
Can I be honest? I'm really not enjoying it. I don't really dig it so much. I don't do well here. I used to live in Montana and I didn't like it there either.
You ever wish you could arrange your tour schedule to like north up in the summer and then south in the winter?
You'd think that that's what they would do, but it doesn't work out that way. You know, you just deal with it. But what really gets you is like when it's cold outside, then you come in the buildings and the buildings are cold. That's a bummer. That's a bummer.
Ice rink like today is probably not the best.
It's cold up there, man. Yeah.
Yep. So you put out a greatest hits album back in November. How did it feel? Was it surreal when you realized that you had enough #1 hits to put it on a record?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So there's 9 of them, and we really could have spilled some over into another record if we wanted to. Because when we first started, we didn't think that we would have a hit song. You know, more or less 9, and out of those 9, 2 of them are 2 of the biggest songs in the last 20 years. You know, like you don't think that you're going to do those things, and then and you're always watching TV and you see where this artist did this, and then Adele did this, and all these people do these things, and then all of a sudden there's your name in there with them, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling.
It's cool, but at first though, when you see it, the first time you see like an accolade like that with your band's name, it's almost like you don't believe it. You're like, oh, that's a mistake, But after a while, it sinks in, and it's pretty cool. It's really cool.
You know, a lot of bands, they'll put out a greatest hits album, and then they just kind of call it a day. It's their last thing. You guys put 3 new songs on there. Was that a way of just kind of saying, hey, we're still around, giving fans a taste of new stuff?
Yeah, that's exactly what that was. We used that greatest hits record as a vehicle for new music. Some bands will do that. I think it's really smart. And then so we put those 3 songs out, and then kind of a teaser for the next record, which will be coming this time next year.
Have you already started working on that? And I think I'm looking back at some of the hits on there, When I'm Gone in particular. I remember years back listening to that on the radio. They had soldiers leaving messages in there to their families saying, I miss you, can't wait to come back home. How did you get involved and have such an impact in the military community?
It happened on accident, actually. But our label, we went overseas and did a USO tour, a Navy tour, where we went on the ships, and we took a cameraman with us, and he filmed everything. And our label saw some of that footage, and they asked us if we wanted to do that kind of video. And then they warned us that we might get pigeonholed as a certain type of band if we did that. And we were like, yeah, well.
Do you think that's kind of happened? Or?
No, it didn't happen at all. We actually just became a band that people looked at for to evoke the feelings of goodbye and hello. You know what I mean? Which are powerful emotions, and I think that we just became that band that they associated with that, with the missing you, and and they're already feeling they're missing all these people, and they're having that really sad feeling. But then they had this song to relate to. At the moment, it worked, and it worked for them, and it worked for us, and it worked for everyone. And still to this day, people talk about that. That's a really cool thing when you can do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So aside from helping out in the military and stuff like that, you also have the Better Life Foundation. Back in Jersey in November, you guys presented a check towards Hurricane Sandy relief. What other kind of charities have you worked with since that started?
Well, Ronald McDonald House is one of them. Mulholland Home is a place that we give a lot of money to. Also, we do the Dream Racers. I don't know if you know what those are. When children's hospitals, when children have chemo, it's a drag. Chemo's a drag for anyone, but for a child to have to be hooked up to a chemo for 8 or 9 hours, or however long it takes, it's a terrible thing. And so they make these cars, and they're like little race cars. And inside the car, there's a video game system with a gas pedal and steering wheel, and they can play NASCAR. And they look like little NASCARs, and we buy those for the hospitals and put those in the hospitals.
That's great.
It's pretty coul. The kids really takes their mind off that chemo for a while.
You're on tour with Daughtry. You've been on tour with them for a while, and then you got some big festivals planned. You're playing with Slipknot, Iron Maiden, Leonard Skinner. Do you change up your set for catering to the metal crowd a little bit, or?
Yeah, we do. We'll play a little bit more rock and roll for those things, which is cool. But we don't really do it for the metal crowd because we can't compete with metal bands. We're not a metal band.
Yeah.
We're a rock band. So we can play our heaviest song, and it'll be a ballad for Iron Maiden. And so we just kind of do what we do. And the fans respond to that. We've done well in the last 10, 15 years. People know our stuff, and they accept it.
So the usually like those big crowds, they still.
Works out.
Which one do you prefer playing? Like, you know, shows like Daughtry, headlining stuff, or do you like doing those big festivals?
Those big festivals are kind of scary. You know what I mean? Because you get thrown to the dogs a lot. You know, you show up, no sound check. Here's your set. This is when you play. Have a good time. And you know, that's when you're used to getting a sound check and you're used to doing things the way that you do it as a band, and then you hit those festival circuits, which to change everything immediately, it can be a little nerve-wracking because you don't know what it's going to sound like when you get up there. So, yeah, they're kind of scary. I like to be in my own element. Like tonight, we're going to do a sound check. We're going to go out in front of crowds. Our gear, everything's ours. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that would be tough to do. Well, you guys have been around for a really long time, just non-stop touring. What do you do in your downtime just to stay sane on the road?
Xbox.
What kind of games?
Call of Duty. That's the only game.
It's a good game.
Yeah, it's a good game. It is a good game. I play a lot of that. When we can get the internet on the bus to work, we play online, but usually, you know, it's a cellular internet, so it doesn't work all the time.
Do you guys like the touring thing more, or do you prefer to be in the studio working on new stuff?
I like touring to a point, and then I want to go home and work. You know what I mean? I like them both, is what I'm trying to say. And then when I'm in the studio, I can be there for 2 weeks, and I'm ready to go back out on the road. So, but I'd say if I had to choose one, touring is the way to go for me.
Just like being in new cities every night.
I like the kind of the system of it. It's you get in a routine out here, then it makes the time pass, and you know, you can work out like we're always working out, and we get to see all these different places, and we're all Instagram nuts, so we can go out and take pictures, and you know, it's kind of cool.
So totally random, but remember that Geico Caveman commercial with Let Me Be Myself in it? When you wrote that song and watched that commercial, did it kind of stray from what that song actually means, or did it kind of get on point?
Well, no, that they wrote that commercial around the song, so like the song and the commercial went hand in hand. So that was pretty much what the song was about. If you think about it, the Geico Caveman's always, you know, he's being beat up for being himself, you know what I mean? And he hates it, and that's kind of what that song is about.
Was it kind of cool seeing stuff like that, like you're just watching TV and your song comes on in the commercial?
Yeah, it is cool. Very cool.
So, if you're working on a new album, you're gonna go with the same sound, like the new tracks we've heard, or?
I think we're gonna do a little heavier this time, and just kind of lean that way instead of trying to write big pop songs all the time. Like this is what people want us to do. That's what we've done so many times. I don't think we're gonna just try to do that this time. We're just gonna write some songs, see what happens. You know.
Sounds good. Well,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.